All right, how's it going, everybody? It is the Osmo.com NHL DFS Strategy show, and we got a big 10 gamer to talk about today. Contests aren't, huge, but I wanted to make sure we could get in a strategy show because still got some decent sized contests, got some decent first place prizes, and NFL is going to take over for the rest of the day. So I don't actually think a lot is going to change on this slate too. So I think we've got most of the information that we need. Of course, we're going to need to check in on goalies and all of that intermittently throughout the day. This is kind of like the old days where we don't have projections yet because FC's having they're working through some issues, and so that will be up pretty shortly. And I'm actually getting messages right now. It'll be up in plenty of time for NBA and NFL lock. So what are we, 5 hours away from lock. So do not worry if you use Fantasy Cruncher, you will have plenty of time to edit your lineups, generate your lineups, whatever you need before NFL and NBA. We're 4.5 hours. It's 3:35 my time, 4:35 Eastern lock for NFL. So we'll be good. And then, as always, sponsored by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. You can build Yahoo lineups over on Fantasy Cruncher. That's usually what I do. And then with their CSV update that they came out with a couple months ago, I've just been uploading them like you would on any other site. NFL today is the main event, of course. 150K baller, 15K to first. Always got to, my mouse isn't working right now, but if I could click on this, that would be useful to show you guys the management fees over on Yahoo. 12.3%. There we go. 12.3% is about 75% of the management fee you would pay over on DraftKings and FanDuel for their big tournaments. They're usually at around 16%. So nice discount before you even start the contest. Better for your long-term ROI when you're paying less rake. No other way around it. All right. Free stuff today. It's pretty exciting. One thing that's free that I use a lot, and I've had some NFL Showdown success. Definitely playing the slate today. I'm already entered in for the first game. I am sure I'll enter in for the second game, because the first game is the Vikings game too. So I'm gonna have some people over. My roommates. I live with a bunch of guys, and then I don't know. It should be pretty fun. And we play Showdown League, and I smash everyone, right? Because I've got all the best tools in the world. Showdown ownership is free today. This is for the night game, though. So you don't have, we do it for the featured games. And this is the Lamar Jackson game. Look at that ownership for Lamar Jackson. That's wild. But you can use these to your advantage. Whether you're building one lineup, whether you're building 150, whatever it is. You want to look at these. They're free today. There's no reason not to at least check them out. We will have the live blog up for NHL. I believe it is this. Yeah, it's the same link every day. Did you say you smash all your male roommates? I may have said that, but probably not in the way that you are thinking. I beat them in our DraftKings league that we have going on for NFL Showdown. We also got a bunch of other free NFL content. The matchups column is huge. If you are into playing a bunch of matchups and trying to get an edge that way, or prop betting, I know some people use it for prop betting. That might be a way you can get an edge. Player props are typically pretty positive EV. I'm guessing if you are betting the right ones. I've heard from some smart people, a lot smarter than me. Can I come over for the smashing? Yeah, you got it. But they're all Vikings fans, and I'm not. So I'm just going to be rooting for my showdown team. So if it happens to be the Vikings, I will be rooting for the Vikes. If it is not the Vikings, in terms of like my teams that are doing well, then I'll be a 49ers fan. So it'll just depend on how my lineups end up being. So it'll be fun regardless. Either I get to root with them or root against them. It'll be great. We do have projections and all that stuff. Those will be updated once FC gets back up, which it should be pretty shortly. You'll have plenty of time. If you're just joining, you'll have plenty of time to join your contests and get your crunches in and all that stuff. Live blog will be updated. There's still NHL going on. We're going to be talking NHL on this stream. It'll be pretty prompt, a pretty concise stream. NBA lineup builder, also free today. There's your link. You're going to have to find this link. So go on our Twitter and find that if you'd like. I'm seeing a bunch of people, some of you in here. If you could drop us a like, that would be fantastic. It helps us continue to try to do this stuff for free. And then let's get into the slate, because we can't check out lineup study just yet. But we will check out lineup study on Monday stream, assuming we have one on Monday. In fact, I know the schedule for NHL has been really bad lately, like really unbalanced. So we actually have a 5-game on Monday. It'll be a Slim Cliffy Monday. If I forget to mention that, there you go. It will be a Slim Cliffy Monday. That's always a fun one. People like his analysis on the show, myself included. And let's talk about these games. So let's go with Montreal, Ottawa. Carey Price and Craig Anderson are your goalies. Looking at some implied totals here, I believe Montreal is at 3.5 actually. 3.5, 6.5 total, 3 for the Senators. These totals will get updated with Alex's. These will be Alex's numbers once we can upload projections. But big total here for Montreal. Ottawa blended last night against Detroit. I don't really know what their lines are going to be. This is, as most Saturday slates are, probably going to be one there's a little bit of news at lock. There's a couple line changes. There's a couple teams on back-to-backs. How come he's not priced with Dougie? Gallagher out? Yeah, okay. Gallagher is out. But these get updated automatically, so I can't go in and update these striker. So this will get updated. No Gallagher. I was more thinking on the Ottawa side, because I did see that about Gallagher right before we jumped on here. Peugeot was with Brown and I can't remember. Was it Tyler Ennis? I know Colin White was with Kachuk and Drake Batherson. So these guys were all mixed up yesterday. And so I don't know what's going to happen, whether they go back to those lines. They ended up losing the game in a shootout. That, by the way, that Detroit sequence in OT was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I just happened to be watching it, and I just happened to be watching it like on NHL Network or whatever. I think that's where it was on. And so there was like 4 chances for Detroit to score. Mike Green had a couple, rang one off the post on a wide open net, and then luckily they ended up winning the game. But yeah, that was wild. Look it up on YouTube or find it on Twitter if you get a second. Just crazy stuff on the 3-on-3 overtime. So either way, it's going to be Peugeot against Deneau and Tatar with whoever Gallagher is getting replaced by. They could go back to Kovalchuk up on that top line. If not, it's actually not a spot I love without Gallagher. If Gallagher was in, maybe you take a shot on Montreal 1. You like Montreal 2, assuming it's going to be Domi, Suzuki, whether it's Kovalchuk or Lehkonen. Doesn't matter too much to me. I'd prefer it be Lehkonen just for a cheaper line. But without Gallagher here, I don't think you're going to see a lot of ownership on... I don't think you're going to see outrageous ownership on the forwards. I like whoever Kachuk is with I basically gravitate to wherever he's at. So if it's White and Batherson, I think that actually could be a pretty fun line. Kachuk, White, Batherson, and it would be really cheap too. So I'm hoping we don't get any clarity on lines until 6:30 Eastern. Then you can make the correct lineups, make the adjustments if you crunch or whatever. If you hand build, that's what I would plan on doing, because I think this is a pretty good Ottawa spot without Gallagher. When's Fantasy Cruncher coming back up? Shortly. We don't have an ETA, but they said well before NFL lock. So NFL lock's at 4:35 Eastern. You should have it up well before then. Petrie and Weber, both solid options. 6,700 for Weber, 5,100 for Petrie. Prices I don't have issues with. I like Shabbat at 5,700. He was just playing an absurd amount of minutes when I looked at this. I kind of realized it on stream. I mean, we had him projected for a bunch of minutes. He played another 28, almost 29 minutes last night. Like, he's just playing so many. So if you're stacking up an Ottawa line, that's probably your go-to at 5,700. Although I don't think I'm going to get to a lot of Shabbat as a one-off, just because of his price point. His peripherals aren't phenomenal. It's just a minutes thing, and he's really the only Ottawa defenseman that I want to play tonight. Some people like building with FC, myself included. Yeah, people want to build with FC. I get it. I hand built a couple lineups just to try to get an idea of how I would build if we didn't have an optimizer, because I'm always so used to building with an optimizer that sometimes it's nice to hand build and see just what you gravitate towards, because that's probably going to be chalky if it fits well. Like the lineup I built, I think fit like a glove, but honestly, that's probably not going to be one that I have once I factor in ownership and all of that. I need to get a new chair. Boston and New York, the Islanders, Tuukka Rask, Semyon Varlamov confirmed for the Islanders. This is one with a 5.5 total. I believe it is 2.9, I want to say, going to Boston. Yeah, 2.9 and then 2.6 going to the Islanders. You've got a super expensive Boston one, almost 24K. And then the Islanders, I mean, it's just a tough spot going up against Boston. Obviously, it's a little bit better. Islanders at home, you probably give a bump to the home team. I usually do. Nelson, Lee Eberle went up against Colorado 1 in their last game, and that was a disaster for them. They gave up 32 shot attempts. And just like that's like the highest number I think I've seen, 32 shot attempts against for a line in one game at 5-on-5. And yes, it was Colorado 1, but Boston 1's just as good, if not better, than Colorado 1 in terms of like their body of work. So I don't think this is going to go much better for them. Maybe they don't hard match the Nelson Lee Eberle line against them, but I think more than likely that's the line that sees the most time against Boston 1. So it's probably Boston 1 or nothing. I think it's a sneaky good spot despite the 2.9 implied total. The question is just, what can you actually fit with Boston 1? Because I think the pricing is pretty soft overall, but you're still paying 24K for a line that like you need a huge performance. And another line could easily outscore them even if they have a great game. So that's the only problem. It's just price with Boston 1. I think their ownership is going to be really low, though. Like, I think we might have them at 5% or something like that on a 10-game slate. If that's the case, I will probably have more than that. If they're normal 10, 12%, maybe I come in closer to the field. But I do think it is a really good spot. Like, it is a good spot. I wouldn't be off of them because of the 2.9 implied total, whereas I think some people might be discouraged by that. And then I don't really have much on the New York side. Certainly don't want the Nelson line. like they just got walloped in the last game. And now you get to face Boston 1 if we get this correct. I was dead wrong on the Carolina line matching, so going to get line matching stuff wrong sometimes. But either way, like Barzal line against Bergeron, I don't think that's going to go well. It just doesn't seem like a good spot for me for the Islanders, and the low implied total. Vegas tends to agree with me, or I should say I agree with Vegas here in that I'm not going to be heavy on the Islanders. And the defenseman just crew at 4,700 if you're stacking up Dallas. Why do I keep saying Dallas? I got Dallas on the mind. If you're stacking up Boston, that's your obvious guy at 4,700. Hoping the San Jose PK carries the night. Boy, Dallas wins tonight. They could. They're favored, I think, on the road in San Jose. Let's go to Tampa and Philadelphia. This is one that's going to come down to ownership for me. But we've got Andrei Vasilevsky and Carter Hart in net. 3.5 implied total for the Lightning. 3 flat for the Flyers. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want nothing to do with Tampa 1, which I usually love. Like, everybody loves Tampa 1. I'm usually not as high as everyone on Tampa 1, but I was in the last game. They did play well. Good 5-on-5 spot against Arizona. This could not be much worse. It probably could be a little bit worse. I don't know that the Couturier line's the best shutdown line, but it's one of them. And that being the case, 3.5 implied total. It's a team that has concentrated scoring, especially when their top line is stacked up like this. And I'm just hoping people go to Tampa 1 here and either they don't care about line matching or they don't realize that it's a thing in NHL. Maybe some novice players see like you can fit Tampa 1 much easier than Boston 1, and they've got a higher implied total. I think the spot is terrible at 5-on-5 for them against Couturier on a 10-game slate. So I'm not saying I might X them out. I hope they're like 10% owned because that's substantial on a 10-game slate. That's 10% exposure I could allocate to another line that's either cheaper or in a better spot, or figure out something to do with Boston 1. But yeah, they're not really on my radar unless they, for some reason, come in at 1% ownership, which I do not think is going to be the case with the 3.5 total. On the other side, Couturier, Giroux, Konechny, I think I'd actually be more likely to take a chance on them rather than Tampa 1, and they're cheaper. They're going to play a lot of ice time. Yeah, it's not a great 5-on-5 spot for them either, but they are fully correlated. They are at home, and I think they might even be lower owned than Tampa 1. I like Hayes, Van Riemsdyk, and Nicholas AK, we're going to call him. I had his pronunciation down the other night when I was watching the Flyers game, but I do not have it anymore. Yeah, sorry. NFL, the salty old man. Yeah, NFL messes up everything. Not messes up. NFL takes precedent. So I just wanted to make sure I got something up here. I went through the slate this morning, and I felt pretty good about where I was at. So we've had early shows on these Saturday slates just because give it a longer shelf life, and then you can at least get some of the matching down, I think. NAK, there you go. Striker helping me out. I do like the second line as a value spot. It's not like Tampa depth is fantastic, or is a fantastic matchup, but I just like how the way that line is played, and they're just really cheap. All three of these guys, I think, are probably underpriced. Let's go. Actually, I always forget defenseman. Since I'm not playing Tampa 1, I'm probably not playing much Hedman at 6,500. Provorov at 5,400, not really a guy I usually get to. And then Niskanen and Sanheim, I wouldn't mind taking some Sanheim at 2,900. Let's go to the Devils and the Capitals. It is not Mackenzie Blackwood. It's going to be Louis Domingue for the Devils. Blackwood not starting. Holtby for the Caps. Big news, well, I guess little news, but news nonetheless is that Vrana moved up to the top power play. Yesterday during practice, it looks like that's going to be the case. So Kuznetsov going to get bumped down to the second unit. That is a huge, well, it is a pretty big deal on the Capital side. It's not that big of a deal because if you're 5-on-5 stacking, just because you still have two guys in the top power play, Vrana can be a scorer. I'm not sure he's going to have a huge role in the power play. Basically everything runs through Ovechkin anyways. So sure, he could get a goal there. It doesn't change that much for me. If you're playing a Vrana one-off, maybe that bumps him up a little bit, but that's really it. We're going to get a lot of ownership here on the Caps for, let me see what their total is updated. Yeah, closer to 4.2, and then you're seeing like 2.3 goals for the Devils. So Caps are going to be chalk. They're not expensive enough. I'm probably going to have as much of the field, if not more, in MME settings. If I was building one lineup, I don't think I would get to the Caps in my one lineup, and certainly not the second line. I think we're going to see Backstrom, Ovi, Wilson spending the most time against Hischier, Palmieri, and Simmons. Or not Simmons, it's actually Jesper Bratt moved up there earlier today. And I think we're going to see Kuznetsov, Vrana, Oshie seeing more time against lines 2 and 3. So I'm going back to this Zajac, Coleman, Gusev line. I can almost guarantee I'm going to be over on them. They've just played really well, really up-tempo. Coleman is 4,500, but he's not on the power play, so people just hate playing him. People hate playing Zajac, and it's not like I'm a Zajac truther, but if I'm playing full stacks and I like Gusev and Coleman, I kind of just throw them in there by default. So I like Devils too. And obviously love Washington 1, love the power play. It's just going to be a question of, all right, are they 20% or are they 35% on a 10-game slate? Because 35% is much different for me. You're still going to be able to figure out a way to get different with the Caps, because you always can. Whether you're full stacking or doing 3-2-1s or doing full power play stacks or whatever it is, you're going to be able to get different with Caps 1 and Caps 2 for that matter. I would imagine I am very much on Caps 1 and under the field on Caps 2. Their numbers aren't good. And that you can't take away the matchup being good. The matchup's fine for Washington 2, but I just think that people will see this. They'll think they're being sneaky, dropping to the second line. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of this line. Their numbers are so poor in terms of generating chances. Defensively, they're a train wreck right now. I don't know that you need to do this, but Washington 3, mostly Lars Eller, but Washington 3 actually does have some good numbers. So if you want to feast on some New Jersey depth, maybe that's a way to get different if you're Josh stacking 1 and 3 or power play stack and 3. Mix in Carlson there, 7,200. Yeah, I think, so it's hard to say because we can't run crunches yet. I think Carlson's going to be one of my high-stone defensemen. I'm not worried at all about the $7,200 price, especially in the context of a Caps 1 stack or Caps power play stack. Like I said, I think they're underpriced. Carlson's price is probably the one they got the closest to being correct. But yeah, 4.2 implied goal total for a guy that can score goals and is just racking up assists with the best of them. Not sure we could find a better spot for Carlson than this one tonight. Devils 2, to recap, Devils 2 is one of my favorite punt lines. And then hard not to love the Capitals' power play here. And I think you can go to the third line if you're looking to get really weird. Like if you're playing Boston 1, maybe you take a stab at this Washington 3. Kings, Hurricanes, Quick, and James Reimer expected to go. Man, I was... Well, let's do implied totals quick. 2.5 for the Kings. Looks like 3.5 for the Hurricanes. That puts this as a 6 total. Carolina did something weird last night. Carolina, I don't know if they did this on purpose or what happened, but it looks like it was on purpose from what I'm seeing. Carolina matched Stahl, Svechnikov, and Foegele against the Keller line. So I was wrong. I was just wrong on this matchup. Yesterday, now you get another Carolina home game. And it looks like a really good spot. The matching doesn't matter as much on the big slates. I usually use it more on little slates or when we have like a Couturier situation against opposing top competition, or Boston 1 against opposing top competition. So it's not going to matter as much in this matchup. I think you'd rather face LA 2 and 3. You'd rather not face Kopitar if you can avoid it. But I think they go back to Stahl, Svechnikov, Foegele against Kopitar, I follow, and Toffoli for the most part. And then that frees up Aho, Niederreiter, Teravainen against LA 2 and LA 3. So I'm not discouraged from last night. I think maybe they just considered the Keller line the top line. I don't know. It must have been real hockey reasons why they did that. Or they decided not to hard match, and Aho played the most minutes, and the Dvorak, or no, it was the Garland line. No, yeah, the Dvorak line. The Hall line played the most minutes, so they just ended up getting matched up. That could have been the case as well, but yeah, was confused looking into that a little bit. I didn't go super deep into it, but yeah, because if I knew that was the case, I would not have played as much Carolina 2 here. I would not have played as much as the Aho line if I knew they were going up against Hall and company rather than that awful second line that Arizona had. So to recap, I'm not really on the Kings here. Kopitar, I follow Toffoli. I suppose they're cheap, but I think it's going to be a brutal matchup, whatever way you shake it. I prefer the top 2 for Carolina. I'm going right back to the Aho line. This was the line. This was one of the lines that I plugged in when I was hand building earlier today. In fact, my first lineup. You look at recent games with the Carter line, recent games with these mixed up lines. I don't know. Maybe Blake Lizotte makes a difference. I'm not exactly sure. But LA was noticeably bad in their last game, and I don't expect them to be much better here against Carolina. I get that it's back-to-back, but it's a home back-to-back. I think all 3 lines are in play here, with my preference being Carolina 2, if of course. You guys have heard me say that 100 times probably already this season, or however many times they've played. Cam Talbot starting in net tonight. Carter Hutton leads the Sabres out for warm-ups. There you go. Subban is terrible. Stick with instincts. Are we playing PK Subban? Is that what people are talking about? Wanted to play the Kings versus Subban, but couldn't pull the trigger. Did one line really go off in that game? Yeah, that was one of the weirder things. I think the Kings were up 4-0 in Vegas. I think they had a 2.2 or 2.3 implied total going into that game. By the way, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about them in just a bit, but that Stone, Stastny, Pacioretty line, they're playing better than anyone right now, I think. And their goals for and goals against at 5-on-5 last game was 1 goal for and 2 goals against. Feels like they've done that 20 straight games, and they had 24 shot attempts, double-digit scoring chances. Like Pacioretty scored, but outside of that, they haven't had a slate breaking performance. I don't know. Maybe it's tonight. Dougie at 7K. I probably got him behind John Carlson, but that is likely the only guy I have him behind tonight once we get projections. Once we work out those, if he's my number one exposed guy, I would be happy with it. But for defenseman, he's going to be top 3 almost certainly. Carolina 2, inconsistent. I mean, they consistently generate scoring chances, which is what I want. And this is a good matchup. So you don't need consistency in DFS. You just need to target outlier performances for variance-based sports like MLB and NHL and NFL to some extent. Let's go to the next game. Rangers Blues. Lundqvist and Binnington are your projected goalies. Lundqvist is confirmed for the Rangers. Tough spot here for the Rangers. Probably going to be a team that I pick on to some extent tonight. I think you're going to see some popularity for the Blues because it is a healthy total. It is the Rangers. Everyone knows they're bad defensively. 3.5 implied total for the Blues. 2.5 for the Rangers here. O'Reilly, Perron, and Sanford. I don't know who they're going to consider the top line. I would think it's going to be Zibanejad, Kreider, and Buchnevich. I could be wrong. It's not going to matter that much for them if you're looking to play them because it's going to be a good spot regardless whether or not they go up against Strome, Panarin, Fost, whether it's a mix or whether it's against Zibanejad and Kreider. But what it does for me is, all right, I got to figure out which Rangers line am I going to have little to none of because I think projections are probably going to favor the Zibanejad line, but I lean to them getting hard matched against O'Reilly, and that's not really something I want a piece of. O'Reilly line's been very good at slowing the pace down with this trio, and so I obviously prefer the blue side here, and I think I actually do prefer O'Reilly and Perron, despite how few chances they're generating. I think the Rangers are just that good of a matchup where I don't really care that much. And I'm hoping that some more people go to, well, I'm not hoping. I'm going to have St. Louis 1, but I would like to see in our ownership projections that St. Louis 1 is a little bit chalkier. And maybe that will give me even an additional boost to want to play the O'Reilly-Perron line. Either way, whether you play 1 or 2, you're going to get 2 guys in the top power play. You can stack them up with Pietrangelo. When I'm doing power play stacks, I like to have at least 2 guys on the power play with the defenseman that I am stacking. So that will be Pietrangelo on both of the top, or for both of the top 2 lines. Very, very muted interest in the Rangers here. Strome and Panarin have been hot. Jesper Fast, our boy, has been hot, but I don't think this is the night for the Rangers. Tony D coming off the performance of the season, 5 points, some 56 DK points. Really brutal spot. I'm not falling for it again here. And I mean, I shouldn't say falling for it. I had Tony D. I think I was had 8% of a 9% owned guy. So it's not like I was dead without, like I faded him or something. But yeah, not buying into that for this matchup specifically. Ever since I started, saying the Blues, their numbers weren't very good, they've kind of turned it around entirely. STL3 filler, yeah, that's a decent play with your Boston 1 or your Washington 1. Kind of stinks that they just came off a really nice game, but yeah, if you get to go up against 2, 3, and 4 for the Rangers, and you've got real players, Steen, Thomas Bozak, yeah, I think that's a great call there by you, Dylan. Man, they are dirt cheap as well. So there you go. You got a couple lines to deal with, or a few. Washington 3, you've got Devils 2, and you've got St. Louis 3. If you're looking for some very, very cheap lines to pair with an expensive line that is going to be more chalky. Pietrangelo at 6,300. Very, very much into that. If I don't get up to Yossi, I always got Yossi on the mind. If I don't get up to Hamilton or Carlson, Pietrangelo is a very, very nice consolation prize against the Rangers. Like I said, he goes with the top two. He's got good peripherals. He's going to play 20, 25, probably closer to 25 minutes or more. He's a great option at 6,300. Is this Vince Dunn top pairing thing going to stick? His minutes for the last couple seasons have jumped around as much as anyone. Recently, last few games, he's been at 19, 22, and 19 minutes. But you go back 5 games ago, he was at 15 and a half, 13, 14, 13. Like, I just never know whether he's playing 13 minutes or 20. And that does make a difference. So I can't really advocate for making a major stance on Vince Dunn here. Falk at 3,900. I will probably pass on that for the most part. And I think I'm good with this game. It's probably St. Louis or nothing. And I give a slight edge to O'Reilly and Perron. Ownership will tell the tale here. Oh, here's a fun one. Ducks, Blackhawks. This is at currently at a 6 total, 2.8 going to the Ducks, about 3.2 going to the Hawks. Got a message in Slack. Hard to say going to get a little more minutes with Parayko out. Yeah, that's a good point. So maybe the minutes are a bit safer for Dunn at 3,600. That's probably a good call from Blues fan 05 in our Slack. There you go. You would know. Plugged in. Ducks, Blackhawks. 2.8 for the Ducks. 3.2 for the Hawks. It is going to be Robin Lehner. He did not skate this morning, but he's going to play. Jimmy Stryker just posted in chat. And then probably going to be Gibson for the Ducks. Oh, those pesky Ducks, though. They'll throw a curveball at us every once in a while, and it'll be Ryan Miller randomly. Yossi, my first love. Exactly, Yossi. You guys are funny. Man, the Hawks are just a mess. So they've had these nice totals. It's down again. Yeah, I saw that, Raj. Is it still down, or is it back up, or did it come back up and it's down? I don't know. They're gonna get it figured out well before lock. That's what I've been told. The Hawks are a mess. They have their best 3 players, arguably their best 3 players, all on different lines. The Tays, Kubalik, Quenneville line actually kind of interests me a little bit. I can never get a good shake on matchups here. I can never, I don't know whether or not this is the game where Kane moves up after the first period with Tays. And so I recently have not known how to attack the Blackhawks with any sort of success. I think what I'm going to do here, not necessarily saying you guys have to do this, but I think what I'm considering doing is just power play stack or nothing. And, that would include Doc, DeBrincat, Kane, Tays. If I was 5-on-5 stacking, I would probably go with the Tays line. So what I might do is mix in a few of these Tays stacks in my bunch of lineups, play Kane and move on. That's probably better advice, honestly, what you guys are saying in Slack. Play Kane and move on. That's an option. Because, Carpenter and Nylander, what are they doing? So at least you get 2 guys on this line, I suppose. I think that line's not going to be any good, though. I think this line could at least be fun. Tays, Kubalik, and Quenneville. And the Ducks are a good matchup. So, maybe you just power play stack it. Like I said, it's hard to get a read on this. Me liking to stack even strength lines, this is a disaster for me. So if you're one-offing, of course it's Kane. If you're power play stacking, I usually like to play at least a couple guys that play at 5-on-5 together. So Tays, DeBrincat, Kane, like that's not an optimal way for me to do it. Usually like at least one link at 5-on-5, but I might make an exception for this spot because it seems good. It's just, do you just play the good players on this team and hope you get 5 or 6 goals? Maybe that's what you do. On the Duck side, I prefer Getzlaf, Henrique, and Sprong, assuming that is going to be a thing. Kasha probably your one-off guy, and that is really about it. These Ducks lines are pretty gross. The top line is the least gross, but you're also not getting that great of a price. Getzlaf at almost 6K, Henrique at almost 5K, Sprong priced up a little bit, so they priced him up for the Blackhawks matchup. It is what it is. If I end up with like the Ducks one is not going to be a line that I think I have more than 5 to 6% of. Gibson, the first goalie off the ice, perfect, wonderful timing. If I end up with 0 Ducks and they go off, I'm not gonna complain about it. This is not a spot I love. It's a spot you go for salary relief, honestly. And I think even though Ducks 1 isn't super cheap for what they are, you at least get full power play correlation, and the Hawks are not good at 5-on-5. Boquist, Keith, Gustafson, man. Do we play Connor Murphy over these guys? Murphy's playing. The peripherals are crazy for this guy. My buddy Corsi has been playing a bunch of Murphy, and I've been playing some Murphy too. So even though he's 4,500, like he's just contributing a lot of shots on goals. He's getting blocks. He's slowed down a little bit, but yeah, maybe Murphy's a little bit too cute in this spot. Like if we're talking about stacking up the power play, Boquist is probably your guy at 3,700, but not a guy I have a ton of confidence in. He's got 1 double-digit game in his last 11, it looks like. And I didn't even scroll down to see if it's more. Alex Nylander's a bust. Buffalo won a trade for once getting Jokiharju. Yeah. Nylander, he's been scratched a couple times recently. He had a nice little stretch, maybe a few weeks ago. I don't know. Who knows if it's going to work out for him, but it hasn't to this point. All right, let's stop talking about terrible games. Edmonton, Calgary, not sure about who's going for the Oilers. It is going to be Talbot for the Flames. Just got word about that. So news rolling in at just the right time. Totals here, I believe this is 6 total, 2.8 going to the Oilers, 3.2 for the Flames. McDavid, Neal, Kassian, gonna want to see what they do in practice. If they do practice this morning, would make a difference. Obviously, if McDavid and Draisaitl are together with whatever clown they want to put with them. Hopefully, actually, it's Kassian at 4K, but I guess I like the spot here for Calgary. I think I'm going to be underweight on it. I think other people are going to like it more. I think our ownership projections are going to be higher on them than I will be. If that changes, I'll obviously go in Slack and say, hey, I was wrong about this. But the preferred line for me is Lindholm, Tkachuk, and Mangiapane. Not exactly sure how they want to match this. My lean is that they go Lindholm, Tkachuk, Mangiapane against McDavid. Seems like it would be a pretty good spot for them. If that's the case, not only just McDavid line not being great defensively, but would probably mean an increase in minutes because McDavid's going to play so many minutes. So that's my lean here. Gaudreau, Monahan, and Backlund have not been a great line generating chances. However, if you're going to go up against the McDavid-less Oilers, or even with McDavid, I shouldn't say McDavid-less Oilers. He's going to be playing, but if you're going to go up against the non-McDavid lines, probably even better, despite McDavid's shortcomings as a defensive center. Anyways, I'm probably going to be below the field on Calgary 1. I think they're going to be pretty popular as a full stack. This is going to be a power play stack. Any word on when FC will be back up on the site? Yeah, just to recap, we don't have an exact time, but the FC guys are aware. They tweeted out from the FC account that they're working on it. So it's going to be as soon as possible. That's the best we can do right now. But they said it will be up well before lock for NFL, which is 4:35 Eastern. So we'll let you guys know if it's up. I'm sure everybody will be letting everyone know when it's up. Yeah, you'll be covered. You'll be covered. How much Gio? Yeah, Gio. It's a good spot for Gio. 6,100 for him. Shooting a little bit more as of late. You guys were mentioning the block shots recently. That's always nice to see. 6,100 for Gio. Very, very fine price. I prefer. I'm trying to see who am I thinking? Oh, Pietrangelo, 6,300. I prefer Pietrangelo over Gio, but maybe that's just a personal preference thing. It's really close. So as a one-off, I'm going to go with more Pietrangelo, but in my Calgary 2 stacks, or if the few Calgary 1 stacks that I will get to, Gio, I'm perfectly fine getting to him. McDavid, Neal, Cassian, and then the Draisaitl line. Once again, we've got this issue with the Oilers in that McDavid and Draisaitl don't start the game together. Who knows if they will play together? They've been better at keeping their lines the way that they've started in games. I don't like Neal with McDavid. I would just prefer they stack up one line for selfish reasons, but you could always do that yourself. You could go McDavid with Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. If you want to get a more expensive stack, you can go McDavid, Neal, Nugent Hopkins, or Draisaitl. So probably the power play stack would be the best way to attack it here, but I'm honestly not in love with it. Clefbaum, 6K. Pretty good blocked shot spot whenever the Oilers are playing, really. Clefbaum's a guy with really, really good peripherals, and like his minutes are always safe. He just does everything. So yeah, Clefbaum's great at 6K, but like I mentioned with Gio, I think I prefer Pietrangelo if I could just choose one of those guys. Freaking Oilers, man. Oilers, Blackhawks, Senators to some extent. Like, these are just teams that are the worst. Okay, let's go to Columbus, Vegas. Elvis Merzlikins and Marc-Andre Fleury are your projected starters. These teams have not skated to my knowledge, so we will see if anything comes out, if there's any other injuries, and we'll be in Slack to update you on that. By the way, the live blog for NHL today is free, so this is a blog that we all work on, provide a little insight, any changes that we see throughout the day. It's updated in real time, so there you go. That's free today. If you want some more news, as well as the NBA lineup builder will be free, and NFL showdown projections. If you're playing the big showdown tonight, the Ravens game, you're going to want to use those projections. At least take a look at them and get a peek behind the paywall. This game's going to be pretty easy for me. I don't get why Vegas has these terrible games at home. Hold on. I don't get why they have these terrible games at home. They've had them a few times this season. You'd think other teams would be having a Elvis in Vegas narrative. Nice. I like that one. You'd think other teams would be having these huge letdowns going into Vegas. You'd think it would be a huge, home ice advantage and all that. And then you're down 4-0 in the first period against the LA Kings. In a game, you're like a minus 300 favorite. And so I don't know what happens with the Golden Knights sometimes, but it was a Subban game. Maybe that was the problem. It's not Fleury. I really, really love the Golden Knights once again, And the second line, I am not getting off of it. I don't really care how highly priced they are. They're generating so many scoring chances. They are just caving every single line they go up against. There's not a line I am worried about one iota for them going up against tonight. Don't really care about the matchup. Like I said, the price is getting up there, but they're playing like an elite line. And we've got a sample of them being an elite line for over a year now with these three. Maybe not over a year. Pacioretty. Has he been there for over a year? No, he hasn't. Or no, I'm thinking of Stone. Stone hasn't been there for over a year. Regardless, Vegas 2, I think they're going to be pretty low owned because of Pacioretty's price. And, if they dud again and they put up 20 shot attempts and 10 scoring chances and 7 high danger chances, I'll play him again the next slate. When a line is just this kind of dominant, I'm not going to say it's like a hot streak in baseball or anything like that because I don't think that's predictive. But I think if they continue to put up these numbers game after game after game, they're going to have outlier performances. And so I am hunting those outlier performances. And maybe this is the game with the low total, modest 3.3 implied total for the Golden Knights. That's lower than Tampa. That's right around where Calgary is. That's lower than the Blues. It's right around where Chicago is. It's lower than Carolina. It's lower than Montreal. It's lower than Tampa. Washington, obviously. So, maybe they get lost in the shuffle. They will not be lost in my shuffle. I will be firing up Vegas 2. I will probably have some of Vegas 1 as well. Does CBJ even have another goalie? Does Elvis see 50 shots? Yeah, I don't know about 50, but yeah, I think he could see 35, 40. I don't think that's a stretch at all. Columbus is a fine defensive team. Yes, Fantasy Cruncher's down. They're working on it. They're aware of it. They're trying to get it back up ASAP. I've gotten really no interest in Columbus outside of if you want to just if you're playing 150 tonight and you need a filler stack, maybe you get to a couple percentage points of these two lines, but I'm not really in the business of trying to pick one right now. I think Vegas smashes them. Maybe it's a get right game. I think you can even go to Vegas 3 here. Eakin, Nosek, and my boy Alex Tuck. Yes, Theo Goat. I affirm 5,800 for Theodore. Maybe not a great price for him, honestly, because of it's not a fantastic power play spot, but the minutes have been up. He's playing 22 in basically every game. He was up to 26 the last 2 games, and he's on the power play that I want to, or he plays on the power play with the even strength line that I'm smashing. So yeah, Vegas once again. You've heard me say that a million times. Vegas 2 is so good, so good. I hope this is the breakout where they smash. Werenski at 5,600. Speaking of guys that have been beasts, he has certainly been one of those. So if you wanted to one-off Werenski at 5,600, he's probably going to be fairly low owned. Stars, Sharks, and then we'll get out of here. Bishop, Dell. Those are your goalies. 2.9 implied total for the Stars. 2.6 for the Sharks. I like San Jose 1. I really love the price for LeBanc. I think this is how you get LeBanc going. You put him with Hurdle and Kane. They might not be great defensively, and maybe they get a little bit too much time against Dallas 1. So I get it if this isn't the spot you want to play them, but I definitely want to play some Stars 1. Jeez, I've got the Stars in my mind. I definitely want to play some Sharks 1. Maybe my mind's trying to tell me something. I don't really want to play Stars 1. It's an okay matchup. I actually don't think the Sharks are that bad of a defensive team. It's a low total for them. There's just a lot of lines I know that I'm going to be a lot higher on. that I think are in better 5-on-5 spots, better, they've just got a lot of other things going for them. And Dallas 1 always gets ownership. So SJ1 or nothing. Well, I shouldn't say or nothing. If you wanted a power play stack and mix in a Timo Meier one-off, if you like doing one-offs, $4,900 is a pretty good price for a really talented player. Or, Burns Timo. This is a Burns night for me, 5,900. Looking at where, let's see, Dallas is at in time shorthanded. As I try to pull this up, I don't know why I closed out of this. I know they're in the top 7 or 8. Let's see. Time shorthanded. For the season, Dallas is at 6. 150 time shorthanded. 44 games played. I mostly just want the opportunities. And so maybe you get 4 or even 5 opportunities here for the Sharks. They've got a pretty bad power play. Just under 17%. They're bottom third, but you just need that one, and hopefully you get a little bit of extra. You get most of your scoring at 5-on-5. So, yes, Dallas 1 would be the one I would want to go to if I'm playing a lot of Dallas, but I have a hard time believing that I get to a lot of them tonight. San Jose 1 is my main priority, plus Burns in this game. I wonder if Burns actually ends up as one of my highest-owned defenseman tonight. I think this is I don't know. I just think the hate's gone a little too far for Burns. Maybe that's a straw man, honestly. Maybe people are still jamming him in. He's looked just fine to me in playing 25 minutes a night. Yes, the shots are down a little bit, but the attempts are still up there with almost anyone in the league. So, yeah, Yossi's ahead of him now, but 5,900 seems a little crazy. So, SJ plus Burns, I suppose. Sharks gonna screw us one more time, right? All right, so that's all we got on this slate. Hopefully that helped you guys out, or if you're watching this on replay, hopefully check on any confirmed goalies, any line changes. We'll be in Slack posting anything we see, and then we will also be on the live blog. Go support Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. If you're playing NFL, what better place to play NFL DFS today than Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports? Low management fees, lesser competition. Not even sure if some of these contests are going to fill. They've got stuff at every price point, 10 max. They've got the 150 max, the $15 with 15K to first, 150K baller. NBA, they've always got some nice contests over there. It looks like those are going to fill though pretty early, so get in now. And then NHL, $200 to first into $12. That's my favorite tournament that they have. Let's go support them so they can build some even better contests. And that's really all I got for tonight. Showdown ownership, just want to link it one more time. Showdown ownership. If you're playing Showdown, which I don't know how you miss out on this stuff. Showdown NFL is really fun. Playing over on DK and FanDuel, there are your ownership projections. They are free for today only. NBA Lineup Builder is also free for today only. Good luck tonight, guys. I will see you back Monday with Slim Cliffy.